Hello and welcome. Today we're going to look at some yoga poses to stretch the psoas muscle. For those of you who are not familiar with the psoas muscle, it's the muscle that connects the legs to the spine. The psoas muscle attaches through the lower back, it runs through the pelvis and attaches to the femur. This muscle is one of the primary muscles that responds to the fight or flight impulse. In other words, when we have a perceived danger or threat or stress, this muscle will fire up in preparation to run. The problem with repeated exposure to stress or perceived stress is that the muscle gets tighter and tighter, often resulting in lower back pain, middle body pain. And it's very important that we learn how to stretch out this muscle to release that stored up tension. Another aspect that can affect the psoas muscle is too much sitting. So our sedentary lifestyles actually exacerbate the problem. So in our practice today, we're going to learn how to stretch and access this muscle. Let's get started. So let's come up to a standing position, take the feet hip width apart and start to roll the hips like a giant hula hoop. And switch the direction. So as we go through this practice today, just know that if your muscle is super tight, the psoas on either side, you may not be able to do the full expression of the pose. I recommend for this practice today having a couple of props, a strap. I would recommend having a couple of yoga blocks because it just gives us a little bit more space in the body. Our first pose is going to be Natarajasana. So step into the right foot, spreading the toes for balance. You can use a wall for balance as well. And see if you can take hold of your left ankle. The knees will be parallel and we start to press the hips forwards. If it's already too much to take hold of the ankle, you can wrap the strap around the left ankle. And that will just give you a little bit more space if the stretch is too intense. For those of you who want to try the balance aspect of the practice, you bring the tip of the thumb to the tip of the index together and start to lengthen the arm, and if you can, pivoting through the hips. Make sure as you pivot through the hips that you don't end up with chicken legs. Keep the pelvis level and keep the knees parallel. So as we tilt, it's a nice, tidy pose. Release, and let's come to the other side. Step fully into the left foot and take hold of the right ankle, either with a strap or with your hand. Knees are parallel, right hip presses forwards. Fix your gaze on one steady point. But for those who want to go further, chin mudra, arm to the sky, and tilt. Opening up the front body, letting the right shoulder draw back, not overstretching, just feeling like you're connecting into the front of the thigh. Slowly return, release, foot to the mat and have a good shakeout. Let's now step to the top of the mat and breathing in, lift the arms up. And as we exhale, let's fold the body forwards and soften the knees as we draw the torso down, crown of the head down. Take your hands onto the elbows and just let your body sway. It may feel tight in the hamstrings, it may feel tight in the spine and the lower back. So just easing your body awake with these gentle swaying movements. And releasing the elbows, let's take hands onto the mat and step back into downward facing dog. Pressing through the heels, stretching out the backs of the legs, hamstrings. Relaxing your shoulders, fingers nice and flat, pressing into the mat. And then bring your knees to the mat. Take the knees a little wider and sit back into child's pose. Relax your shoulders, relax your arms, and rest your forehead on the ground. Take a nice deep in-breath into the lower back. And exhale, let's come up onto all fours. Curl the toes, downward facing dog, tummy in, tailbone up. Right heel presses down as the left leg raises up. Bend your left knee, and now imagine what a dog would do if it was peeing on a lamppost. Lifting the left knee and left hip. Lengthen the leg up to the sky, level off your hips, foot to the mat, knees to the mat. And inhale, lifting up your head, opening the chest and the heart. Exhale, rounding the spine, pressing into the hands, looking to the belly. In breath, release the belly, lift the head for cow. Exhale, round the spine, draw in the abdominals, look to the belly. Inhale to neutral, curl the toes. Exhale, downward facing dog. With the left heel pressing down, raise the right leg up. And now the dog in the lamp pose, so bend the right knee, lift and open right knee, right hip. Lengthen the right leg, level the hips, foot to the mat, knees to the mat. Inhale for cow, lifting the head. Exhale, rounding the spine, looking to belly. Inhale, lift the head, open the heart. Exhale, round. In breath to neutral. Let's now step the left foot in between the hands. This is where the blocks can be handy. So if it's handy for you, take the blocks. It just gives a little more space. And each exhale, we're going to sink the hips down and forwards. Inhale, we draw back. Exhale, hips down and forwards. And you'll feel the right hip flexor stretching out. Let's do that 2 more times. Now I'd just like you to check that your knee hasn't gone beyond the ankle. Make sure you have 90-degree angle. Bring your hands onto the knee, lift the torso, sink the hips down again. Releasing the hands, lift the arms up for Anjaneyasana. Feel the stretch maybe moving all the way down into the belly. Keep your shoulders relaxed. And then bring your hands down to the mat. Lift your left hand up to the side as we open in a half twist. If you're feeling sporty today, curl your right toes and lift up the right knee. And draw your hands down to the mat, right knee to the mat. Blocks will be handy here. We're going to walk the hands forwards and place your elbows either on the block or on the mat if they reach. And let your hips sink down and forwards. Keep your left knee close to your left shoulder. And after a few breaths, you may be able to adjust the blocks and bring them a little lower. The final option in this pose is to curl the right toes and lift up the right knee. Pressing into the right heel and reaching out through the crown of the head. Let's bring the right knee to the mat. Walk the hands back up. Draw the left knee back. And now we're going to make giant circles with the whole of the pelvis and the torso. Let's switch the direction. Into center. Now step the right foot forwards. You may need your blocks here. That just gives you a little more space. Can make the poses so much more accessible. Breathing in, exhaling, hips sink down and forwards. In breath, lifting up the hips, just a fraction. And exhaling, stretching out left hip flexor. 2 more times. Remember, listen to your bodies. Always the best wisdom is coming from your body, not the mind, not my mouth, your body. Last exhale. And keeping your Hands onto the knee, let's lift up the torso. Release the hands and lift up the arms for Anjaneyasana. Keep the shoulders nice and relaxed. We don't want to have the shoulders wrapped around the ears. There's a feeling of spaciousness. And draw hands down to the mat. Sweeping the right hand up to the side as we come into a half twist. If you wish, you can curl the left toes under and lift up the left knee. And draw the right hand down to the mat, left knee to the mat. Preparing your blocks now as we walk the hands forwards. It might feel different on this side. Bringing your elbows onto the block, sinking your hips down and keeping that right knee close to the right shoulder. After a few breaths, you may be able to adjust the blocks down one setting. Consciously releasing tension as you exhale. And the final option in this side is to curl the left toes under, press into the left heel and lengthen the left leg. Reach out through the crown. Release the left knee to the mat. Walk the hands back up. Draw the right knee back. And with the whole of the torso, we'll make those nice big circles. Switching the direction. Back to center. Hands underneath the shoulders. Stretch out the left leg. Draw the tummy muscles in and stretch the right arm forwards. Bending the knee, the left knee, reach behind you. See if you can take hold of the left ankle. You can always take hold of the left legging, or if needs be, wrap that strap around the foot so that you have a little bit more space to take hold of the back leg. Keep the head lifted. Let the right shoulder draw back and open. Let's take 2 more breaths here. Releasing the hand and the knee. Let's shake out the hips, shake out the head. And then try the other side, lengthening the right leg. Check that the right hand is directly under the right shoulder. Left arm reaches forwards. Bend the right knee and reach back to take hold of the ankle, the legging, or wrap the strap around your ankle. Keep the head up, keep the chest opening. The foot is pressing away, so you notice my arm is not bent. The arm is straight because the foot is drawing the arm and the shoulder back. Last 2 breaths. Release the hand, release the foot. Bringing hand and knee to the mat and have a good shake out. Hips, neck, spine. And then we bring ourselves down onto the belly. Our next pose will be the Sphinx. So we slide the arms forwards until the elbows are pretty much underneath the shoulders, shoulder width apart. Press down through your pubic bone. Very important because we don't want to crunch the lower back. So the more that you press down through the pubic bone, you'll activate the glutes and the legs. So the legs will be supporting you. And from here we can roll up through the spine. Trying to draw the shoulder blades towards each other so the chest opens. Keep the head lifted out of the neck so we haven't lost ourselves into the neck, into the shoulders, so we're lifting out. Smooth and steady breaths. Depending on the state of your spine, this is really important that you listen to your spine. Some of you may want to lift up the elbows and press into the hands. That will accentuate the backward bending aspect of the pose. Make sure you really protect the lower back, pressing down through the pubic bone. Another option is to slide the hands a little further forward, give you a little more space. But really be guided by your body on this one. On your next exhale, we're going to soften the elbows and let the whole body release down onto the mat. Bending the elbows, side of the head onto the mat. Let your heels fall outwards and let the whole of your legs relax. Relax your belly, your buttocks. Relax the muscles in your spine, your chest, your shoulders, arms, and your neck. And we'll take 2 more long exhales here, fully relaxing all the muscles as best we can. When it's time for your third in-breath, slide your hands underneath the shoulders, press up onto your knees, and stretch all the way back to the heels into child's pose. Take the knees a little wider, and then again, rest your head on the ground, breathing into the lower back, sending the breath nice and low down into your torso. On your next in-breath, lifting up onto the knees. So now we have 2 options. For Supta Vajrasana, if your hip flexors are super tight, you may want to start just by sitting on 1 block, maybe even 2 blocks. And we're going to fold the left leg under. The foot is on the outside. So for some of you, the thigh muscle may be super tight here, and this is all that you need to do, and that's the front of the ankle too. As you practice, what I would recommend is exhaling, leaning back, coming towards your edge. So if we come towards our comfortable edge, the place where we feel the tension, with an exhale, the body is far more willing, and it knows it's been heard. For those who would like to go into the full posture, we're going to have the blocks arranged behind us on the mat, parallel, not too far away, keeping that left foot folded outside of the hip. Lift your tailbone up and slide the tailbone under. So we're literally tucking it under so that as we recline, we're not going to crunch the lower back. We won't be compressing those vertebrae. Lift and tuck until the shoulder blades rest on the first block and your head rests on the second block. And you can take your arms out nice and wide into a T shape. If you're feeling really loose and open around the chest, then maybe you can even take cactus, but it is very intense, just to give you advance warning. After a few breaths, the muscle may start to release, in which case, elbows on the mat, tuck the chin in, roll up, and flip the blocks down 1 setting. And with regular practice, you may be able to remove the blocks altogether. And again, coming back to T-shape arms or cactus arms. Let's take 2 more breaths here. You're welcome to spend longer if you would like, really focusing on the exhale. Now you have 2 options to come out. Option 1, tuck the chin under, press down onto your elbows and roll up. And if you've taken this option, come onto the top of your sit bones and we'll take a counter stretch over the lengthened right leg. Option 2, continue doing that if you've picked that option, is to roll to the right. Straighten the leg out and come up to seated. And from here you can also take a counter stretch with both legs lengthened. And lifting up. Let's prepare for the other side. Stretching out the left leg if you've had it folded. Massaging anywhere on the leg if necessary. And preparing for the other side, sitting either on the blocks. If you're doing just sitting on the blocks option, it can be quite nice to do it with the sofa behind you, so that as you start to recline, the weight of your torso is supported by the sofa. That's quite a nice option. For those who would like to come into the full version, lift and tuck the tailbone under once, twice, and recline till you find your blocks and stretch the arms out. Softening as best you can with each exhale. After a few breaths, you may be able to lower the blocks down, so arms back to torso, tuck in the chin, lift up, flip, and flip. And recline once again, tucking that tailbone under just to make sure there's no compression in the lower back. And on the lower setting of the blocks, try cactus arms. Long, slow exhales, giving your muscles time to relax and soften. Let's take one more final long exhale. Bring the arms alongside the body, tuck the chin, press into your elbows and lift up. Come onto the top of your sit bones and take your counter stretch over the lengthened left leg. The other option was to roll out to the left, stretch out the right leg and fold over both legs lengthened. Lengthening the arms, let's now stretch out the right leg, massaging any place that feels like it would benefit. Sliding your blocks out of the way, we're going to recline onto the back, ready for resting pose. So easing yourself down onto the spine, keeping the knees bent. Let's separate the feet nice and wide and let the knees roll in towards the center. It can feel quite nice and reassuring to have your hands on the lower belly. And with the hands on the lower belly, we become more aware of our breath. Feeling the belly rise as you inhale. And inviting release and letting go with the exhale. Knees continue to roll inwards towards the center. And we'll take 5 more long exhales here, inviting muscles to relax. All the while watching the belly, feeling the belly rising on the in-breath. Long, slow exhale, breathing all the way out. And final breath. Now taking your hands off the belly, let's bend the knees a little closer to the body and draw the knees in towards the chest and circle the knees, feeling into the lower back. I always like to finish a practice with a twist. I feel like it helps us to release any final stuff that we're holding onto. So you can always prop your legs with blocks. We'll take the right arm into cactus, left hand onto the right knee, and exhaling, legs to the left, head to the right, twisting the body open. Final exhale. And bring knees in towards the chest. Hug and circle the knees to realign your spine. Left arm in cactus. Right hand onto the left knee, and on the exhale, legs to the right, head to the left. Softening the body. Relaxing all parts, starting at the toes, moving through the legs, hip, rib cage, shoulders, arms, neck, and face. One final breath here. Taking time to exhale fully. And breathing in, draw the knees back into the chest, circling. And then rolling over to one side, using your hands to come up to seated. Well done. You have finished your psoas muscle stretching session. Practice, practice, practice. With consistent practice, hopefully you'll start to create a little more space in the muscles and really start to notice a difference in your body. Thank you for joining.